Welcome to ZFF Daily. I'm Stuart and I'm here with Jody, the director of Ballet 422. And I loved your film. I'm so excited to talk about this today. So tell me, what inspired you to make this film?
I think the first thing that excited me about the idea of this movie is just watching Justin work with a dancer. Because I work in the film business, I work as a cinematographer and as a director. It surprised me how much it reminded me of a really seasoned director working with like a really great actor or actress, and just that language could be so similar, and so that drew me in. And then I was also just surprised by how young he was and how confident and sure of himself and advanced he was for his age.
He has such a calm demeanor in their moments where other people would be so stressed out. And what was it like following him, and what was your understanding with one another about how this process would take place?
Well, I mean, you know, Justin, that's another thing that attracted me to him as a documentary subject, was that the first time I saw him directing one of his dancers was on stage at the Guggenheim when he was doing a presentation to help sort of, you know, publicize this ballet that he's putting together. He just seemed to like totally forget that the audience was there. He just went up on stage and he was directing the dancer in front of the audience. Sort of an exercise to show them how he could adjust something in the choreography with the dancer. And he just was so tuned into her that he turned everything else off. And to me, that's exciting as a documentarian, because I feel like I can shoot without someone sort of changing how they behave or being too conscious of the camera or being uncomfortable with doing certain things in front of the camera. It felt to me like he was the kind of person that would just let whatever happened happen and not be distracted by my presence. And I think that turned out to be the case.
Oh, absolutely. And how did you choose a subject of ballet? Is it something that you're fond of?
I'm not a huge dance fan. I definitely respect ballet, and my wife is a ballet dancer, and my wife also produced this film. And I got into the dance world through her. But to me, it's more a film just about the creative process in general, more than it is a dance film. And I know, you know, I hope that dance fans will like this film, but I also tried to make the film for an audience that doesn't know anything about dance. So I think some of the hardest work that I had to do as a director was to communicate just sort of the rules of that world and the language of that world without using talking heads and without using sort of more traditional, you know, informational delivery like in a documentary. So that was tricky, but I think
yeah, there was no voiceover, no titles, no text, but it was so powerful, and the story was told. What are your thoughts on, you had said that documentaries can sometimes be thought of as sloppy or easy filmmaking. Yeah, I have a quote. It says, documentaries basically just shit on all the time, and because of that, documentaries get away with being sloppier, so I try to avoid that. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
In the documentary form, a lot of the time, the subject is more important than the filmmaking, and sometimes that makes sense, and it should be that way. And what you're filming can't be crafted, and I understand that, but I also think that because it's considered a subject-driven medium, that the filmmaking just sort of gets tossed aside, and the craft gets tossed aside. And so what I try to do when I work on a documentary, either as a director or as a DP, is to bring some cinema to it. And I think someone like Frederick Wiseman does a great job of doing that, who's, you know, one of my filmmaking heroes, and his films definitely influenced this movie in a big way, in that it's totally verite and trying to tell a story visually or through things that are happening rather than through staging things again or through talking heads.
It was interesting seeing all the facets of what goes into it, and we got to see the competitive nature without it being so in your face, but you feel that energy from them. I loved it. What advice would you give to a young filmmaker?
I don't know, I guess my advice is to work hard. I think Justin in this film, to me, is really inspiring in terms of his work ethic. And one of my favorite parts of the film is at the end when he immediately after his premiere goes back to
that got
dance
me like
in another ballet that
as
he's
the core.
Yeah, so the fact that Justin does that in this film, he goes from being sort of like the most important person in the room to the least important person in the room with no ego, and he just moves forward and works on his craft. To me that's inspiring because I feel like it took me a while as a filmmaker to learn that you can work on a project and get this attention for it and people can support you, but then when you are done with that, it's like starting from zero again, and you just have to go right back to work. And I'm fond of saying that like Martin Scorsese is like one of the hardest working people in show business, and he's not sitting there just letting it come. I mean, he works
waiting
really
for things
hard
to happen.
Yeah, he's doing a movie right now. He just did a pilot for HBO, and I think that's a really important thing to do, to just keep going and keep starting from scratch, keep going back to the basics, and just keep working. And I think that's what this movie is about.
And your film was picked up for distribution, so that's always amazing. You're here at Zurich Film Festival. Yes. What is next after this?
Well, next is putting this movie out, yeah. So working with Magnolia right now, and it's going to come out in the States in February. So we're working towards that.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here, and thank you to everyone for watching, and see you next time.
Watch more ZFF Daily videos about the Zurich Film Festival and subscribe to our channel.